Our first letter is called, Am I a Jerk for Getting Offended and Angry Over Essentially Being Gender Profiled? And this is from, Am I the Jerk? Offended Gender. Throwaway, and on mobile, so there may be some errors. Okay folks, here it goes. I'm a female and I happen to be a veteran, and it's a common issue that most people assume I'm not the veteran because of my gender. I've had it happen at the VA, at the local VFW, and so on. Normally, I try not to let it bug me, as the same thing happened while I was in the military. Basically, at this point in time, I'm used to it. Normally, either I don't say anything, or I just show them my VA ID card, in which case the person will sheepishly apologize. No harm, no foul, even though it is tiresome. I go to the gym 5 days a week. Generally, I go in the evenings because it's a 24-hour gym, and maybe 1 or 2 people are around. I also have a transphibial prosthesis, which is a below-the-knee prosthetic. If I'm wearing pants, you can't even tell the difference. However, this week I've had to go in the mornings because of a change in work schedule. This morning when I arrived, all the handicap spaces were taken up, so I parked in the space designated for veterans. I have a disabled veteran's license plate. Everything was fine other than the usual stares until I went to leave. I see a couple placing a piece of paper under my windshield wiper. I thought maybe it was a flyer until I looked at it. In big bold letters it says veterans only. I probably should have dropped it, but I said, hey, you forgot something. I'm standing on one side of the car and they are on the other. The wife launches into this whole spiel about how I dare park there. I say, ma'am, this car has a disabled veteran's license plate. I'm allowed to park there. She then just gets louder, saying that it's as bad as someone using their parents' handicap placard and that I shouldn't use my significant other's benefits. And I guess I just sort of snapped. I walked around the car and now they see my prosthetic limb, and I say the last time I checked, I was the one that was in. And it's really stupid and ignorant for you to assume I'm not the vet because I'm a female. You need to pull your head out of your butt and mind your own business, or if you think I broke the law, call the cops so they can tell you how dumb you are. She, of course, sees the prosthetic limb and just stands there not saying anything. But people in the parking lot were starting to stare, so I just got in my car and left. I told my boyfriend about it and he thinks I was justified, but probably should have just let it go, and says my yelling back turned me into the jerk. But I don't think I was, because she was yelling at me the entire time, causing a scene for something I hadn't even done wrong. So help me out here, am I the jerk? No, I don't think you're the jerk here. I think this person really got what was coming to them, and I think that people need to mind their own business, and not all disabilities are even visible, so the fact that she would have had a complaint with someone using their parents' handicap placard just kind of shows the individual this woman was anyways. I think the moral of the story is that you can't judge a book by its cover, and in your case, you can't judge someone to be a veteran or not just because they look a certain way. I think sometimes people have a vision of what the ideal veteran is in their mind, and if you don't meet that expectation, then suddenly you can't possibly be the veteran. You know, it's really unfortunate when people judge you because you don't meet that expectation. Anyways, I'm going to give you a 0 out of 5 on the jerky scale. You were frustrated at the situation, and maybe you yelled at them, and that might, in some cases, make you a jerk, a little bit of a jerk. But here, I don't know, I really don't think that you were being unreasonable. These people really just needed to mind their own business. And they had no reason to suspect you of not being a veteran, so again, I think that you're right, and that they just assumed that you weren't a veteran because of your gender. Anyhow, good luck, and hopefully you don't have too many more of these kinds of problems in the future. Our next letter is, Am I a jerk for throwing trash back in someone's car? I was riding my bike to work today, briefly stopped at a red light, and someone threw a half-full fast food drink out the window. I don't know if they were trying to throw it at me or if they were just littering without looking, but it would have hit me in the face if I hadn't caught it. In a split-second reaction, without really thinking, I caught it and I threw it back through the open window. It seemed like there was a woman in the driver's seat and a boy in the passenger seat, and they were both splashed with it. She started to scream and opened the door to come towards me, and I got out of there on my bike. I rode on the small side streets and the alleys for the rest of the ride to work. I went to work and had to clean myself because I had gotten some of the sugary drink on my shirt and hair. Smelling it, it smelled pretty rancid, like soda or something that had gone moldy. So I felt like the car must have been pretty nasty. Am I a jerk for throwing the soda back? Well, very Anon, I'm going to say that you're mostly not a jerk, maybe 1 star. It's a little bit of a hard situation, and the fact that you did throw it back at them, and 2 wrongs don't necessarily make a right. But again, like, you were just kind of doing, I mean, you kind of gave them a taste of their own medicine here, and I really have a problem with people who litter, and I think that's a bad habit, and I think it's something that you certainly shouldn't do. And if they could carry that cup in the car long enough for it to get rancid, then I'm sure that they could have waited another 5 minutes to throw it into a trash bin. So why they threw it at you, I'm not sure. And if they were trying to throw it at you just to be a jerk, then I mean, that certainly makes them a complete jerk in this case, and gives them their just dessert for throwing it at you. If it was a sincere, they just didn't see you and they were just throwing it out their window, it's really not that much better, but at least it wasn't malicious. So I'm going to give you a 1, maybe 2 out of 5 for throwing it at them, but realistically, you don't really deserve that much in the way. I think that they got their just desserts here, and hopefully next time they'll reconsider throwing trash out of their window. Anyhow, good luck on your future rides into work. Our final letter is, am I a jerk for donating my kid's clothes and changing him to another school with a uniform policy? And this is from a bunch of gibberish. Last year, my kid did something extraordinarily stupid and could have died as a result of it. All that ended up happening is that the cops arrested him. He's the sort of kid who's really into his image. So as a punishment, I decided to move him to another school with a uniform policy. I also took the clothes he owns and donated everything. It all got replaced with jeans, sweatpants, and plain black and white t-shirts. My son is still pretty angry about it and says he wants to move back and wear his old clothes again. He's bought a few things himself from Christmas money, but the majority of the donated clothes he asked for I got for him. My sister says it's a pretty cruel thing to have done to him, and let him know that he can use his upcoming birthday money to buy clothes, but that he's still staying in that school. Well, OP, I'm gonna say that you're a pretty big jerk in this case. I'm gonna give you 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5 for as jerky of a thing as this is to have done to your son. I definitely appreciate you being concerned about your son, and I think that certainly your son should have been punished. I'm not disputing that in the least. I think it was extreme to donate your son's clothes, especially clothes that he bought for himself. You can't, the thing is that these were your son's property, and you can't give away someone else's property. And yes, they're living under your roof, but I think that this is really problematic that you viewed his possessions as your possessions, and that it was alright for you just to give them away. I think that what would have been appropriate is if you had locked them away, potentially, and took them away from him, and, forced him to, and maybe the change in school is okay, but I'm not sure about that. As a parent, you sometimes have to make some hard decisions, and in this case I think that you thought the right thing to do was to punish him by forcing him to adhere to a certain image. And I personally can't say whether, transferring him to a school was the right or wrong thing to do. But I will say that I think donating his clothes was certainly inappropriate, and I think that it really is problematic that you gave away his possessions. And you said that the cops did arrest him, but that he didn't go to jail, so I don't know how much trouble that he was actually in here. I do think it was cruel, and I think that you overreacted a little bit. I think this is going to, again, take some time to heal, and hopefully in the future your son and you can rebuild your relationship, but I think that's going to be a lot of work, and I think it's going to be a lot of time. Well, anyhow, good luck to you in this situation. Hopefully you can figure out what to do from here, and yeah. Alright folks, that's the end of our session here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Consider giving me a thumbs up if you liked my analysis of these. Consider giving me a thumbs down if you thought I did a bad job. And I guess we'll see you all later. Take care and have a good one.